the second time Intercultural Effectiveness, Connect Before and Enjoy. Where do we have the slide, Yvonne, with our pictures?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Very good.
Okay. Could you click once? Yes. Here are the three. Ursula Brinkmann, I'm talking just now, the one with the German accent. I'm the founders and directors of the company Intercultural Business Improvement. We all based in the Netherlands, just as Yvonne and Juanita. And I'm a psychologist by training, linguist a bit. And for a couple of years by now, I've been running Intercultural Business Improvement together with my partner at Live, Oscar van Willenburg. And so I'm very happy to be here. And, you know, I thought Yvonne, who is the WebEx experienced person among us, and who did most of the prep work. So thanks, Yvonne. I'm happy to pass over to you.
Very much, yes. Well, my name is Yvonne Vanderpoel, sociologist from origin. We focus on non-Western societies, mainly Central America and Africa. I have been working as an intercultural trainer for over 10 years now, and mainly a non-governmental focus, but I just do all kind of I'm training and coaching all kind of professional, just bridging cultures and enhancing intercultural competencies. And I pass over to Juanita.
Thanks. I'm Juanita Wijnands. I'm interculturalist by profession, also by life experience. And that's the combination. My focus is more on corporate line. That's my background. I also, just like Yvonne and Ursula, anybody who is interested or in need of some information and help, we support them in finding their own solutions in being interculturally effective. And team up with the three of us. That's who we are.
So team up with somebody else, which is this person. Would you introduce yourself as well?
Sure, Yvonne. Hello, everyone. My name is Sven. I am Dutch by origin, and I work for Nomadic IBP. My own background is in organizational psychology. We specialize in cross-cultural training also, but do a lot of virtual training. So we help to improve the effectiveness of virtual teams and remote. And we specialize in teaching how to facilitate. So in a setting like this, I'm here today to support the facilitators Yvonne, Juanita, and Ursula to have a smooth session together with you, and you will enjoy it.
Yes, and please notice we record this webinar for SIETAR Europe. Since it's a SIETAR Europe webinar, we like that all the other SIETAR members can have opportunity at least watch this. And there might be some occasions, because we really like to have a very interactive webinar with you, that you also share. So please know and realize this is being recorded. Mm-hmm. And that immediately brings me to the next slide, which is some key features about WebEx. With this panel and then this form, because it has all those features to be very interactive. Well, I've been seeing so far, I guess you all have been seeing that it's on the right upper hand side, you see all the participants. On the top, the panel, and then you see all the participants. Now you're all muted, it's in red. But at the moment that you like to speak, they can unmute yourself, and we can also mute you again. Sometimes an echo or some microphone noise comes in, so that's why we keep you usually muted, and you just unmute yourself once you're speaking. Yes, please.
Sorry for interrupting. You cannot unmute yourself because I muted you, so you would have to raise your hand if you want to say something.
Okay, well, and that's the additional one I would like to mention. Underneath your names, it's the first one on the left-hand side, you see a hand, and it's raising hands. So it's just a classical example of school room where you're in and you have to raise your hand. So you can all do it right now just to try it out. And see that Caroline was the first one. So this is just goes in line, and then we sort of, what is it, the real questions, we bring this in order. You give a green signal and saying, okay, yes, all fine, perfect, or saying in a red cross like, oh, no, this was not right. You can also use emoticons. So this is the way we express non-verbally, even in a virtual environment, but we have some non-verbal clues here. And we have a site on the bottom, and there you see the chat function, and we're going to use that as well. So later on we'll use the chat, and that's in the right-hand corner. There is some telephone coming in. Please unmute yourself. And on the left hand, which is also important, it's on the left upper hand, you can see an arrow and see a T, the text tool, and those are the annotation tools. There will be a couple of exercises when we'll be using those. So that's also important for the next couple of exercises we'll have. Annotation tools, but they'll come over later. So, there you go.
Could you show the slide again with the program overview? Yes, exactly.
Yes. Now this one, yes.
Exactly. So we felt, kind of like it may be good for you to know how we structured the next 1 hour and 20 minutes, so that you know, okay, so this is coming, this is what you can prepare for. So the first topic is introducing ourselves and introducing the WebEx tool, and we've just done that. Next topic, the introductory topic, will be where we talk about the globalized planet and welcoming everybody to it. We're going to then look into this core idea of intercultural effectiveness, and we have a bit of interactive exchange there when we explore the intercultural effectiveness. In terms of input, we will then look also at intercultural competencies and what is the link, what is the link between competencies on the one hand and effectiveness on the other hand. You will all be asked to share with us and with everybody your experiences of intercultural situations. We will the Intercultural Readiness Check, which is the tool we developed here at IBI to assess intercultural competencies. There will be a session around question and answer and checkout. So that's the structure, the overview of today. And now we're going to come to Welcome to the Globalized Planet. Exactly, that's the next slide. And it is indeed, start noticing it. When like we have right now, with people calling in from Peru and Switzerland and all, yeah, exactly, the UK probably, Germany, whatever. And we are all coming, we are now making a globalized session here. And it's happening every day and more at a scale that is hard to actually imagine. Every day, numerous people are involved in intercultural interactions. It could be an investment manager from a development bank who's visiting startups in Africa. A friend of mine, she's a Nigerian researcher. She's now in Amsterdam teaching international law. Or a Lebanese telecom engineer who's heading teams with people coming from 5 different countries. Examples like these, with these amazing combinations of countries and cultural backgrounds and mix-ups, this is becoming more and more normal. So we need to kind of like be ready to deal with the new tasks, the new forms of interaction that brings about. Okay, yes. So over to you. This is about introducing our attendees.
Yes, and like we called our webinar, Connect, Form, Enjoy. Connect is stated as first, and that's also what we like to do with you. Connect with you. And then on that I showed you the map. It's a world map and also a European map. And we like you to ask, please show us on this map where you are currently headed by using the points pointer. So I show you this map. Here it is. It's a double map, since most of us are located in Europe. And somebody already found some tools. It's the annotation tools here in the top. Once the pointer, it comes up your name, and you can put it anywhere, well, where you're located. And I already see that a lot of people immediately found a pointer and far located right now. And here we have a lovely colorful map coming up. It's seeing all the pointers coming. On the European map, also on the world map.
Wow. Oh, Caroline, you are in Australia?
Yes. Okay, what I would like you to do, because we always love to hear your voices, and of course it's very brief time period, we'd like you just to express yourself briefly, and we start up from the top, so Alina will be the first. Please, well, located, and see if you celebrate the Pen Vote as a public holiday today, because there's quite some differences in that we found out. So I'll start with you. I mute you, and please.
Hello.
Located. Yes, please.
My name is Alvina. I'm located in Cork, Ireland.
Yes, Cork, Ireland. Yes. And do you have a public holiday today?
No, it was a normal working day. Yeah, business as usual.
Okay. Thank you, Alvina. Nice having you in. There.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
yes. I'm located in Paris, in France, and we have a public holiday today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Do I pronounce your name well?
I'm used to it before. It's Bérangère. It's a very international name.
Okay. Thank you. But hello. Where are you now?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm in Italy. I'm in Milan, and unfortunately we don't have a holiday. It would be nice to be at the beach because it's very hot.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And now in user whose name I don't know yet. Hello. Elizabeth. Oh, of course. It's you, Elizabeth. Hi. Where are you?
Hi, I'm in The Hague at the moment, in the Netherlands.
First, you.
Close.
Caroline.
So, I'm actually in Melbourne, Australia, and we had a Queen's birthday holiday today.
Oh, look at it. That's perfect.
So we did have the day off.
Oh.
But it's 3 o'clock in the morning now, Tuesday morning, 3 in the morning, so.
Wow, it's amazing that you're participating.
Yeah, I was curious.
Excellent, good reason.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So Elizabeth, this is you, isn't it? Elizabeth, a call-in user.
Hello.
Or do we have another Elizabeth? Just let me be sure. It's probably the same. Okay. Marie, I go up to you.
Actually in Lima in Peru, and we have no holiday today.
No.
Because I'm working for the Switzerland. Switzerland is a holiday, so but I'm all working.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hello.
Hello to everyone. I'm located in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. We have a very hot day, but we have to work hard. No public holiday.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Thank you, Eva. Good. Hello.
Hello, I'm Gunther König from Switzerland. I'm currently located in Basel. It's a public day. That means nobody is out there. I don't know where all the people are. Nice to meet all of you.
Oh, it's quiet. All right. Thank you. Hello, Ellen.
Hi. Nice to speak with everyone. No, I'm based in Rome, and no, unfortunately, we don't have a holiday today. So that's
Yeah, seems to be half-half as far as I'm just counting as well. Hi. Do you hear us? I don't think so. We'll be back to Leon later. Hello.
Hi.
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 We don't hear that well, but it seems you're located in Ireland.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Okay, I heard from it already, so we'll leave it at that.
Oh, thank you. Hello. Please, where you're located right now. Okay, coming in. I think this is our most recent attendee. Okay, let's go over to Louisa. Hello, Louisa.
I'm in Greifswald, that's northeastern Germany at the Baltic Sea. We do have a public holiday today, so I spent most of the day in the garden so far.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Louise. Hello.
Yes, she already said it. She's in South England, and there's a normal working day today.
Ah, okay. She uses the chat today. Here's Muriella. Oh. Hi, Muriella.
Well, maybe you can type it in.
Yes, but we look forward to her there later on. Hello, Talia.
Yes, hello to everyone. I'm in Estonia now. Just it's one of the Baltic states, and just unfortunately we have a normal working day today. And I'm very happy to be one of the members of our webinar.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yes. Hello, La.
And it's public holiday.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Patty.
Oh, wait a minute. Can you?
Yes, Peg.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm in Torino, Italy, and no, we don't have a holiday today.
No. Hey, well, nice you're in. And know that we cannot hear him, but he uses the chat. And I'm not sure if anyone read something from Peter. Okay, well, thank you, because lovely to see where we're all based and that we just have this excellent opportunity right now to join here together. Ursula, I hand it over to you again.
Yes. What you see here is the result. Hey, May. See you here on the world map. Yes, somewhere in Africa. When we want to understand kind of like what does it really mean to be globalized? I mean, everybody talks about it, of course, and then I'm a person who always likes to kind of like get down to some numbers. Don't know why, and so kind of like thought, okay, so what are the technologies that connect us? It's satellites, it's flights, it's cables, but then I went on the internet, and it actually took quite a bit of searching to get these numbers here. It took me about 2 days in total, and so all that searching is apparently they are communicating through 560 operational satellites. Based on estimates, people assume that there are about 20 million annual international flights. There's 30 million flights annually in total. 2/3 of them are international, and apparently there are 100,000 kilometers of submarine cables, and probably through one of them we are now communicating. And I just like these numbers. It makes it more concrete, kind of like what's happening now. All these people, all of us connecting constantly across the globe, we need to be effective, interculturally effective today and every day. So how can we achieve this? Let's on to the next slide. Yes, Yvonne.
Yes, and before we run into your question, how to achieve this, we do inside of us, inside of our experience, where we actually were intercultural effective. And that's what we want to reach out to right now. And we invite you to use the chat, and you already have seen it. It's on the right-hand corner on the bottom. Please recall a moment for yourself when you were interculturally effective, or at least it felt like that. And what was it? What were the ingredients for you for that, to call that moment as an intercultural effective moment? What helped you? Please write down a couple of your thoughts in the chat, and then we look over to all the lovely ingredients that make us interculturally effective. And the chat is already being used. I can see it. Yes. The first thing coming in. Just sing, and I will read it out loud later on. I'm just having a look at what's coming in. Oh, I see all those things coming in. It's just great. Let me start with reading the first ones out loud. Although I'm coming in, some people are writing stories here. Yes. Let's with Peter. Peter saying we all have similar tasks and challenges, no matter where we are. So the clarity ingredient here. Saying give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so mindset issue. Muriel saying curiosity and open-minded people. Saying listen, observe, don't assume you know what's going on. Patty, cultures at an early age. So take something from your childhood here at early age. Patience, listening, openness, Berenguer is saying. Elizabeth, showing interest in people's background and ideas. That there are different ways of doing everything. It's the different ways. Yes. Also ask a lot of questions. Being yes, and then SMR always try on the shoes of the other person, of the other culture, and for what it is to walk in them. Lovely metaphor here. Patty, be able to adapt to different situations. Saying respect that there are other ways of doing things. Louise, bearing in mind when their comments makes as much sense as mine. Yes, they as do to you. Yes, Alvina, I listen, used empathy. Jan is friendliness and listening well. Is listening again. Helen saying spending time at an international meeting to allow everyone to explain their context and objectives. So here the element of spending time and life. Here's a whole story. Oh, that's great. Really helped me knowing that I cannot depend on any theory or any statistic. Depend on my own experience being taught into a fully new culture and language space, and remember how it felt to be tossed at sea and to bring it out into the open. That invites curiosity, and curiosity breeds communication. And then with the bond, create trust and be authentic. Emerge. Wow, the whole story in itself. Well, Linda, may I ask you to explain a little bit more what you just said here, because this is more to it. And I have to unmute you, of course. Please go. Linda, would you like to explain? You may use use your voice here. You don't have to use the chat anymore. Linda, speak, please. She's not just. She's right. Okay, we come back to Linda later. Is there anybody else who would like to express a little bit more of what you just wrote? Yes, the video is working now. I unmuted you.
Okay, good. Can you hear me
Go
now?
ahead, you were just typing.
Sorry, sorry, I'm having a laptop and I haven't really configured it so that I know where everything is on the first webinar, but I just have to get the taskbar a little bit better.
It's a new culture.
Well, no, it was 28 years ago that I was here in Germany, where I'm living now, and I didn't know the language, I didn't know the people, I didn't even want to be here really, and I was really, as I put in my chat, tossed at sea, and it's a terribly scary experience because you can't depend on any kind of background from your own culture, except the fact, like I said, that you can be curious. And you can invite curiosity from other people. You just put out who you are and listen to what they have to say, their experiences about, for example, their familiarity with your own culture, or what they tell you about theirs. There are people out there who are so willing to share information. They just want, they're just overflowing with stuff that they want to tell you. And if you listen to that, that helps you bond. It helps you build a sense of trust. And if you really listen carefully, and this has to a lot of what your other participants are saying, if you listen really carefully, then say, where do I share experiences with these people? Where do we have common ground? Where are we potentially friends at a very abstract level? I was talking about, but it's a very scary experience. It's wide open. You can't depend on your own culture and language. People just don't know where you're coming from exactly, and that's why it takes time.
Oh, but you're saying so much in once. And also, yes, no, and it's amazing. It has so many clues, and what you say, all the things you took for granted, hey, all of a sudden they're not there anymore. They're out of your hands. So it comes back to you, and at the same time, how to connect with these people. And here we're in the middle of our theme, so I just hand over to Ursula, and thank you for sharing this.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for sharing your insights and your experiences. And as we're going through the next slides, and now there will be a couple of slides, key memories, your experiences in mind, and we can hop on the in between and connect the slides back to what you just wrote and what your own experience is. Because if what we are saying is right, then you will recognize yourself in what we are saying. It will be kind of like, oh yes, this is word for what you've already experienced. Here is a network of connections, of meanings. It's all about the idea of, well, if this whole webinar is about intercultural effectiveness, then go to the root and say, what does it mean to be effective? And on synonyms.net, you have a possibility to kind of like look for a lot of associations of one word. And so, for example, it's effective can be, it's operational, things are functioning, like our webinar is now functioning. Effective is usually also good. Enforce, a law is enforced, and measure is enforced. It's effective as of now. It's also being efficient, like one know how to be effective, and you repeat the same process again and again. We can make the process more efficient. And efficacious, and Juanita, you told me what it meant. Kind of like, no, what is the definition again of efficacious as opposed to effective?
Efficacious is the process of being effective. So it's the active form of effective. Effectiveness is a characteristic, but being efficacious probably is very efficacious in the way he deals with what we call project management problems, for example.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. Putting just the right amount of force and measures and resources, etc. Okay.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Being effective in the process.
Yeah. Okay. Next slide. And I'm the presenter, so the cursor needs to be here. So when the core element of effectiveness means that we are solving problems and achieving goals. And so with the culturally effective, we are then basically solving problems and achieving our goals together with people from other cultures. Now, as it is, there's of course a lot to that. And it starts with, intercultural communication, when we want to be effective together. We speak different languages, or we have different communication ideas or styles. We can have very interesting exchanges. Years ago, 1.5 years ago, I was on a trip in Thailand, and I was in a taxi, and I was a little nervous about catching my flight. And so I asked the taxi driver, how far is it still to the airport? To which he responded, well, you need to use the lavatory. So, I mean, he answered a very good question, but it was not the question I had in mind. So can you tell me, have you been in similar situations? Please write in the chat. Have you had similar exchanges? Stunned about the response? Tell me, write in the chat, and then we can see what comes up. Okay, here typing. Lots of experiences. Yes, assumption. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're wondering whether it's a bit sexist. I did not experience it as that way. In that way, Oscar was sitting next to me. I'm pretty sure if he had asked the question, the taxi driver probably would have had the same counter question. I think he was just assuming that I was being indirect. And prepared for that, I was simply asking my plain old, here's in your face question: how far to the airport? and he projected more into it than I had actually put into it. Yeah, Elizabeth, I see your arrow here, so you had a similar situation. Is that correct, Elizabeth? Okay. Well, let's move on. It's I'm just as a background. I come from Westphalia, so within Germany. I come from Westphalia, and I believe that this is a region where people are pretty direct. So these indirect exchanges, they still fascinate me. In communication, intercultural communication is really like the oil that runs through all our interactions when we want to be effective with people from other cultures. Well, you say yes, you're from China, you're more indirect culture. Yes, absolutely. Gosh, I'd love I could have you. I wish I could have your program in my head. So it's oxygen or water. Of course, it's everywhere, and in particular, we need to communicate, of course, in all elements that we that is distinguished with the model of intercultural effectiveness, and we call it the CPE model of effectiveness because we distinguish being effective, so we need to be connecting to people from other cultures. This is what we've been doing so far. We're visiting ourselves, exchanging our experiences, exchanging our stories. This is a way of getting a feel for each other, even though we don't see each other and we may have never met before. Of course, we also need to achieve our task-related goals. For example, now Yvonne, Juanita, and I, we want to bring across some content review and make this a well-rounded, successful webinar. And of course, we also want to enjoy the intercultural experience. I'll leave the slide for the second for you. I'm going to take a look at the chat here. Okay. Everybody, if you're writing down things into chat, make that when it's where it says send to, that is to all panelists, so that to all participants, so all of you, all of us can read what you are writing. So it's like this one here, like this one. Okay. And Nicola, I see your arrow here. When you unmute, Nicola? I Okay, any comment you wanted to make here?
Not really. I'm just enjoying it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, just checking. Thanks very much. I'm going to switch to the next slide.
Nachricht bekommen.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go on. Any comments, write them in chat, and Yvonne and Juanita are reading the chat while I'm reading the slides. One of the core we would like you to take away from this seminar is to keep the intercultural competence idea separate from effectiveness. Competencies are a means to achieve something else. Intercultural competencies are necessary for everybody who needs to be interculturally effective. They are not an end in themselves. If I'm in my own region and I only work with people from my own culture, my own language, etc., there's an intercultural element in my situation. I don't have cultural competencies. I need the intercultural competence the minute when I'm working with people from other cultures, and together we want to be effective, or we want to be effective. And when we read articles or books and chapters, etc., on cultural competencies, I found lots of things that have been written about these in a widely confusing, because do not make the distinction between being competent in order to be effective. It's always we just have to be competent, and that's it. Another, it's something that's often made implicit in articles and books is that there is just one way, one intercultural competence. And what is this intercultural competence, and can we measure it, etc. Where actually, again, personally, and also in discussions with Yvonne and Juanita, we to the conclusion that that is confusing. We have more intercultural competences than just one. In our approach, we distinguish 4 competencies, and we're going to look at these 4 competencies now and how they relate to the 3 elements of effectiveness. The first competence is intercultural sensitivity, and you've all come across definitions of sensitivity. Many people work with that notion, so we find it as when someone is actively interested in other people, in their interests, their backgrounds, their needs and perspectives. And what you wrote down in terms of what you're effective in those situations, many of your comments about intercultural sensitivity, being non-judgmental, being curious, being ready to the other person. Intercultural sensitivity. The second competence we work with is intercultural communication. And this is a hugely complex thing, intercultural communication. So we can measure one element of it, a certain aspect of it, namely how actively people know how they're communicating. So I'm now trying to do, I'm trying to bring across the messages from the slides, while also watching whether you are still with us, whether you're writing in the chat. So I'm trying to monitor the way I'm communicating here now and the responses I get from you. Intercultural communication. When we and somebody else is indirect, we monitor what's happening much more than if both of us are direct or both of us are indirect. And Louise Schmidt, you commented on something. I find professional interactions between people from the same culture, even the same region, can be intercultural, especially in professions dealing with end consumers Oh, it's talking to a patient, yes, who has no medical education. Absolutely. We can expand the notion of cultural background to professional backgrounds, to generate backgrounds, to gender backgrounds, etc. Yes. Then it was a way of saying there are certain situations which we can intuitively see as being probably more monocultural than others. And to the extent that our work situations, our interactions are really culturally mixed, the more they are, the more we need to be interculturally competent. That's the point to make. Okay, the next one is about performing, and there we work with the competence which we call building commitment. That's the degree to which someone is really actively trying to influence their social environment, but with a real concern, an authentic concern for integrating different people and perspectives. Maybe you've watched it already. I'm watching it right now, The House of Cards, this fantastic television series with Kevin Spacey, the political schemer from Washington, and he is absolutely actively trying to influence the social environment. This whole series is about influencing the social environment, but he is in no way interested in building commitment. He has no concern for integrating different people and perspectives. He just wants to get it his way. And it's fascinating to watch it, but it's not what we would call building commitment. The fourth competence, managing uncertainty, relates to enjoying. Cultural situations, of course, tend to be more uncertain than other monocultural situations. For example, when I left school, I grew up in a small town. I moved to Heidelberg. Within Germany, there is a cultural difference from where I'm from to where I moved to. It was student time, it was a bigger city, etc. So lots of new impacts, lots of new uncertainties. And the challenge then is to find a balance, again, where we enjoy this uncertainty, this change, the diversity, where we can enjoy that. Okay. Linda, is this comment on the enjoyment part, Linda? Trying from Köln to Constance. Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Linda, maybe you can chat this now. Will you be in Constance this week, by the end of this week, at the conference? Well, what your answer is? I'll be in Constance this week.
Yes, I'm petty. I see.
Yes. Okay.
Green dot there.
Intercultural readiness is kind of like the overarching word we're using. This IRC approach, we're looking at the 4 competencies and their elements, their facets, and how these 4 intercultural competencies contribute to the 3 areas of intercultural effectiveness: connect, perform, and enjoy. Okay, then part of this approach is the questionnaire. I mentioned this earlier. Some of you may have heard it before. We call it Intercultural Readiness Check. And with this tool, we can assess these 4 competencies, and we can give people feedback on which of these competencies are already fairly developed and which other competencies are still in need of development. And overall, they get bittersweet feedback on 4 competencies that are important for being effective across culture. If you are interested in trying out this assessment tool, the Intercultural Readiness Check, send an email to Ursula, to my address, SIETAR NL, and then you have a free tryout of this tool, and you get your feedback. Okay, so send me an email afterwards, and I'll reply as soon as possible. Okay, I'm going to move on. We are almost there with this bit of a slideshow that we had now, and there's going to be an interactive part again. We're going to hand over to Yvonne. Just a few slides, and then we're going to be back on interactive mode. I mentioned the competencies and that they have facets. Here you have a summary of the whole picture. So, for example, with intercultural sensitivity, when you get feedback on your IRC profile, you would feedback on how culturally aware are you. Also on whether you pay lots of attention to verbal and non-verbal signals in communication. So within the competence, which we call intercultural sensitivity, we zoom in on two elements of the competence. One of them we call cultural awareness, the other attention to signals. And the same holds for the other three competencies. Each competence is kind of like split up into two facets. And that allows us in the written feedback to help people quickly identify, should I focus on becoming aware of cultural differences, or should I focus on paying more attention to signals? People can kind of like shape their own learning path by they get around the facets. Okay, and here I hand over to Yvonne. We'll now look again at your experiences of being effective interculturally. Yvonne?
Yes. And then we started with, well, recall an experience from yourself when you were interculturally effective. And there's a lot of ingredients there. But now we're also going to do the other way around. There are all moments, and usually they're very effective in our learning, but they were not that effective interculturally. Maybe, we all have our bloopers here and there, and especially interculturally, when we're learning along the way, things happen. So what we like you to do, and maybe Ursula, you can go to the handout, which is on the upper tab. The handout, please, which is the next one.
Okay. Handout. Here, this one?
Yes, there you go. And there we go. And
handout.
Please recall a moment when you were not that interculturally effective, and where was it? Was it the domain of connect, intercultural sensitivity, or intercultural communication? Did it have to do with perform? Did it have to do with the competence of building commitment? Or did it have to do with managing uncertainty, or whether or not you enjoyed it? So please use the pointer again, which is in the left upper corner, which gives your name in the circles. And then, yes, Patty already has it. And then you can use the text tool. And it's next to it. It's the text tool. And then just use one or two keywords, otherwise it would be too much. And to indicate what was it all about. So also please use the text tool behind your name. And in just a couple of words, what was the clue? What was the issue there? And I see all your names coming up, lovely. And I'm looking forward to see what they actually have and the bloopers. And also here some. So it's the annotation tool, which is next to the pointer. It's a big T. It's called a text tool. Use the text tool to write in a couple of keywords for issue. And the chat for that, please, but use just the same area where you're putting your name. So put it in the middle of the model, just after your name, and the text tool is just next to the pointer, so you can use the T over there. And I see using ready. Yes. You get the text tool, yes, Caroline. Use yellow as a color, that's just a given, but and which you can also change as a thing, but you are the first who found the text tool and actually used it. And you used it in the domain of enjoy. And yes, I think it's your assumption in the area. Hey, you wiped it away again. What did she do? Here are the texts coming in. Yes, I'm glad you found it. Great, it's coming up. And it looks quite well distributed throughout the three domains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Equally distributed.
Yes.
Actually, a number in the enjoyment.
Yes, indeed, it's it seems to bend over to the enjoyment part or the managing uncertainty part. That's what we're not sure of yet, because the keyword coming in now. Let's see what we have in Connect. Here, see something about assumptions, about hired issues, time management as well. The process adhere to a tradition I felt were too formal. Okay. Interesting to see whether this is a perform issue or a connect issue. And goal wrongly interpreted. Okay. Then I see there's also something about own expectations. Yes, it's clearly managing uncertainty here. Unresponsive system, called individualism, and in the on the top to understand cultural differences. Oh yes, understanding all has to do with connect. Okay. But instead of going with the flow, yes, impatience. That's a key ingredient of managing uncertainty. Right, I would like to hear a couple of stories, and people who feel like it, and where you put, or I can see where you put your name, but I see some keywords behind it. So please raise your hands whenever you like to explain a little bit more about your keywords. So I'm now looking for raised hands. Once you feel like, oh yes, I would like to say a little bit more about what I just wrote. So first to raise hands here. Let's see, yes, there you are. Caroline, I unmute you. Oh, you're still the presenter, so please unmute her. Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Caroline. Please go ahead.
Hi. Yes, I'm particularly focusing on systems at the moment. I work in government that does a lot of community consultation in indigenous communities, and lots of times there's very little enjoyment in those experiences because of the fact that we have time frames that don't necessarily culturally cross over, particularly in and around making the connections with people and actually be able to connect with them on their terms rather than on the time frame and the terms that government is expecting to do the consultations in. So that makes it for not a very good enjoyment. We don't enjoy it very much, but we're not performing nor connecting at time. And the system, no matter how often you talk about the system, you can talk to individuals within the system that but to actually then work within the system in order to change that is a challenge.
And I'm saying because your thing actually has to do with all the three domains.
Yes, it does.
You wrote an unresponsive system, and it has to do with time schedules and deadlines, or, well, at least they don't match what I hear you saying. And that's where the connection doesn't go along. And at the same time, the performance doesn't go well, and the enjoyment is far ahead.
Yeah, and links back, I think, to hierarchy issues, because who has the most power, or who has perceived to have most power in those types of situations. Those are the people that set the agendas, and I think that we keep that in mind too. That we really need to pay attention to hierarchy issues, and not just from an intercultural perspective, but also very much in terms of who perceives to be the most powerful person, the most powerful thing that actually drives underpinnings of the intercultural interaction. So sometimes it could also, I think it could also be the organization that you work for in terms of the deadlines that are being set. And so it's very complex. It can be very complex.
Yes, it can be very complex, and especially what you're saying, the power issue, the hierarchy issues coming in. So this is very layered, and it lays on much more levels at the same time. Yeah. So thank you for explaining a little bit more. And I see that all the other ingredients are coming in. I ask somebody else to explain. And please raise your hands whenever you like to explain. Is there somebody who likes to say a little bit more about something in the area of connect? Ursula, could you unmute, yes, Caroline.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No problem.
Okay, now so you mute.
No, she is muted, so that's good. Yes, she is down in Australia and she has some background noise there.
Nicola, so I was looking at the chat and got a little confused here. Okay.
If there else, please raise your hand. I would like to say a little about what you just wrote down. And I'm somebody in the connect area and the perform area.
Patty,
go ahead.
Unmute her, okay?
Yes, please.
Patty,
yes,
speak.
Yes, can you?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, okay. No, what I meant is that many times when, and it is that actually a lot, especially when you travel a lot, when you think people understand the terminology of the word you're using, they have a totally different interpretation. It's very easy, your assumption that you assume people understand the meaning of certain words that you use.
Yeah. It's sometimes too basic to believe, but what you're saying is just about expectations, also about terminology. It's in language, and there you go. Yes, thank you. It's really the connection in the first line.
Yeah, and I think. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just kind of like, should we move over to Esther or Patty? Did interrupt you?
Esther is the next.
Oh, good. I'm going to go to Esther. I'm going to unmute you, Esther, so you can speak.
Hello. This is time management. In the working world, especially when you're trying to work with local people, comes to reunion to meetings that you have to do, and you have totally different sets of time management. So that is definitely a problem to connect, because if you already arrive and you are the one who is there on time, and the person you actually need to talk for like half an hour or 45 minutes late, that doesn't even apologize, and actually you need to have a good meeting with this person. I really failed with this intercultural possibility of sensitivity, because I was already so annoyed since I had to the next meeting. And, this type of issue that the person doesn't even realize that he is of your time is difficult to connect then with him. Because he's using time, he's not respecting it, and you're just like, hey, who do you think you are? Not to my time. At the same time, you cannot you can't really show it. You have to try to understand, okay, where does it come from? How's the traffic, especially in Latin America, where it takes 2 hours to go from A to B. So you obviously want them to be able to forget about all the rest and say, okay, now it's all about trying to connect with this person, because I really do need to have a successful meeting. I realize this is really, really challenging, especially in Latin America, when there's the European culture or North American culture coming together with Latin America, where there are totally different lenses of how to manage time.
Yes, and here again, it's a different way, the different assumptions, and also how to deal with it yourself. So it's also about managing your own impatience and how to deal with it and how to stay connected.
So it's challenging to stay connected.
Well, yes, it's all those personal and challenges we have. It seems that there's more and more keyword coming in the enjoy area. Manage my own expectations, uncertain about intentions of the other, and responsive system we already have. This enjoy discomfort. Yes. Got patience instead of going with the flow. Yes, we're also managing ourselves, aren't we? Okay, let's see. I think we just continue with Ursula here.
Okay, mute you, Esther. Thanks for this. Esther, I was just thinking, because you mentioned time and being on time. In the chat, I wrote down whether you know, and you probably know his work, Robert Levine's book Time, and it's especially he coming from the US, working in Brazil. So it's. I mean, I haven't been in the challenge myself, but he has been there. So maybe it helps to match your own situation in the experiences of others. What strikes me when I read many of your comments is like a hierarchy issue. means time management, hierarchy, it's the systems, an unresponsive system. A lot of these things are actually willing to bring my own rules, adhere to conditions I felt were too formal. So in cases, there is not just one other person we are dealing with and who is open, not open, cooperative or not cooperative, but there are a lot of people and there is system. There is a hierarchy, there is a time assumptions, there are rules and traditions, and I'm kind of like to wonder how can we actually deal with a different system given that it's so slow to change, so frustrating, so time consuming. So I don't have an easy answer to that, but it just strikes me when I look at your comments that many of these difficulties were not just about being people who were difficult or whatever or culturally different, but it's also a system that gets in our way. Can be very, very frustrating. I've seen this with a client of mine who's now who's in the college phase. Very frustrating. Okay, I'm going to move on. Shall I move on to the next slide? One more slide, Yvonne. Yeah, I think that Yvonne, anything where we should.
Continue to the slide.
Okay, very good. Very good.
So go to the slides.
I'm trying. And the presenter.
Yes.
Yeah. So why isn't it switching downwards?
Because this is the one. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, now I'm the presenter again. The feedback, zooming in the facets, but we had this one. This is just a summary again that we call the readiness approach, where we look at the 4 competencies and their facets, and the CPE model of intercultural effectiveness. And what I like about when I see your comments that you just put in, you see all your experiences were evenly distributed around the C of the connecting, the performing, and easy enjoying. So apparently these 3 areas really capture the whole breadth of what it means to be interculturally effective. And the challenge is, okay, so how can we help our clients develop their competencies so that it's easy for them to be effective? I believe that especially this managing uncertainty one is a challenge. That up. Please tell us any questions. Please raise your hands if you have questions at this stage about the discussions we had, the experiences, the concepts we showed you. Raise hands, and then we can listen in to maybe ask any questions right away before we go on. Okay, we'll have time also for another Q&A session, so if you want to come in questions later, that's perfectly possible. Okay, just kind of like a bit of background as to how we have worked with these tools. We have programs for intercultural trainers and consultants like you. For example, we have licensing programs where people learn how to deal and use the assessment tool we developed, the readiness check. See the dates. Actually, the next one is next week, and then there's another one in November. And Juanita, Yvonne, and I, we will also do a train. We work together again on the topic of this webinar in a 2-day train the trainer. Again, the first one is next week, and then another one November. And a very interactive and really fun program. So we all look forward to running it for the 3rd time. The cover that you see here, the green one, that's the cover of the book that Oscar and I recently published with Paul Grave. So that is kind of like really for you if you want to get in depth of it, if you want to kind of like, see the research findings we brought together. There's this book, and you can get it, of course, through Amazon or Bold.com or your local distributor. And if you have questions, if you want to kind of like have more information on our work, please send an email to info@IVI.NL, and then depending on your question, we will, you know, Yvonne or Juanita or I will answer. So this is pretty much that. And also, by the way, Yvonne is also running a blended learning program on intercultural effectiveness, and it should be here on the list, and we put it there, but I didn't want to forget to mention it. Hey, Sven.
Yes.
Yes. Over to you.
Yes, thanks. I would like to just for a moment to tell something about that we offer at Nomadic. Mentioned before, we specialize in virtual facilitation, and besides the virtual training that we do for virtual teams, we also offer a virtual facilitation skills program. Facilitators and coaches and trainers, which many of you probably are. It's a program that takes place completely online, actually in WebEx, in the setting that you that now. It's very interactive and engaging. You get a lot of hands-on practice. You will learn tips and tricks on how to be an effective virtual facilitator. And if you're interested in that, it is an ICF accredited program. So if you are looking for that, then you can get credits by attending this program. Here's an overview of the entire course. It's a session program of 8 online sessions of 2 hours. And there's some individual assignments in between, some prep work. And these are the topics. I will not name them all here, but you can you can see here for yourself what we discuss in these sessions. And if you are interested in this course, then please send me an email. And Joe is asking, what is the ICF? It's the International Coaching Federation. Some of it might be accredited or might be an ICF coach. So then interesting. If you're interested in joining this course, then please send an email. And I'm writing my email address now on this slide. You can send me now a message in the chat, and I will send you some more information by email. Right?
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Sven. Yes, this looks well designed. Yeah, it is. And now up our Q&A session. Your questions, your input. I over back to Yvonne.
Yes, well, it's to everybody. Experiences this web for over an hour now, and a lot of things have been passed, and we have had some interactive moments. Just to make sure, if you get some feeling and some sense by connect, perform, enjoy, and try to get on the difference between intercultural competencies and intercultural effectiveness, how the two are related. But if you're very sure that you have a lot of questions, still have, or you just like to hear a little bit more about something that we skipped over quite briefly. So please raise your hands, and we unmute you and say just whatever you like to say.
Okay, Elizabeth. Okay. She's unmuted. Elizabeth, go on. Carry on.
Call in user 5 because it's the same person.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Elizabeth?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how you think you could deal effectively with intercultural effectiveness in international relations, in negotiations between governments and diplomats.
So that is pretty much also the situation you find yourself in? Okay.
I'm currently interning at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here, and I'm interested in this cultural sensitivity, because I feel that people are aware they have to be culturally sensitive. It is assumed that diplomats are culturally sensitive, but I think in practice it's often very hard to deal with that, and especially in transnational problems. So I was thinking if you have any thoughts or...
Yes, I can say a few words about that. One thing is that I'm going to mute you because I don't know where the echo is going to come in. saying, what about the competencies required for diplomats and international affairs? On the one hand, diplomats, yes, of course, there's a certain basic intercultural understanding and sensitivity, but still we're experiencing situations where you see that this is not, this does not be interculturally effective. To some extent, I believe that the challenge that diplomats may have is to have this bridge function. So they may be in the midst of the other country, the other culture, and very much aware of what's going on and what the needs are of people around them. But they have to translate their insights to the home station, where they're stationed with the local politicians there. They have their own interests and want to push for these interests. So it's on the one hand the openness to the culture, the different culture around the diplomats. It's also the communication skill of translating, having a translation between the different parties, facilitating that conversation. So they also constantly need to assess, bring across certain messages. And of course, there are also political interests which are there, regardless of any intercultural competencies.
Yes, no, I see in the chat, Linda, also saying yes, but it takes a will. So here we are on another level.
Commitment. I'm doing this now. Remember this one competence building commitment that we have. Let me see where this one, the building commitment, the third one. In situation, what the diplomat needs to be able to do is he needs to be sensitive to the different cultures, able to communicate between the parties, but also when they're confronted with issues, they need to be able to build commitment and reconcile the cultural conflict, needs of the different stakeholders. That is again a very complex competence in its own right, and we have tools for teaching the skill of reconciling stakeholder needs. Where are we?
Caroline, and there's also a question by Marielle in the chat. So let's first take Caroline.
Okay, I'm going to, Caroline, you can speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes, thanks. I like the 3 areas of connect, perform, and enjoy, because it actually puts it really nicely in 3 areas where you can actually do some self-checking. And I think in terms of what the earlier speaker was talking about, I forget her name. You know, it's where she's talking about the where she was talking about the diplomats. They're kind of ham in the sandwich. You know, they are, and I think what happens often is that we're not necessarily having. To what extent are we aware of our own buttons or our own communication patterns that are influencing what's happening, and we're putting that on the people that we're actually interacting with. I think that's, you know, it's not just about being culturally aware in terms of the other, but it's also about being very conscious of the fact that you are bringing your culture into a type of interaction, because you just don't switch that off. That's something that is always going to be there. So it's about having that consciousness that operates all the time, and to what extent you're actually able to be conscious of that and be aware that the influences, and be aware to what extent that is actually influencing what you perceive to be as possible in that particular interaction. So I think that's really important too. It's not just about the other, but it's also about yourself in relation to what you perceive to be possible in that particular interaction. So I think it's really important that we don't forget that also. But I think it's the way you've shaped it in terms of, is it, you know, am I connecting, am I enjoying, and am I performing? You know, or to what extent are external factors or other factors influencing that, because it's always in relationship to everything else. You know, it's not just the persons who did it, it's also the systems and the ideas that are there as well, that are influencing to what extent we're actually wanting to create something that's actually going to have an outcome for everybody. So yeah, it's very complex.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Just a comment on that. It's when we are culturally sensitive, we are constantly focusing on the needs of other people. But there may be real obstacles, either because people are not so cooperative as we are, they simply want to go what's good for them, get what's good for them, or because there is a very recalcitrant system. And that's why we focus so much also on the enjoyment part, that as we are so open and cooperative to others, we also need to focus on whether we are okay with ourselves, whether we still have the energy, whether we are still enjoying things. And we may not be, it may be the case where we can change things. We can do a bit of, we can contribute a little, but we have to change the whole system. Yes. Where are we now in terms of Yvonne? Shall we?
Marie still has a question, and Muriel has a question in the chat. So I think it would be the last two questions.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to go to Esther Marie, who's in Peru. Esther.
Yes. I just wanted to get back to what you said in the beginning, the difference that you pointed out between intercultural competence and effectiveness. To be honest, I didn't really get the difference, because I have to be honest, I was always with intercultural competence. So that's why the seminar also, this web also called my attention, because I wanted to understand what is the difference between this effectiveness and the competence.
Okay.
And I didn't really get it. I know that you pointed it out, but I just didn't really get it. Sorry.
Well, you need the competencies to be able to be effective, and it's not the other way around. So the competencies are not a goal or a means by themselves. It is how you use them whereby you are effective or more effective or very effective.
Imagine, for example, an expatriate who's worked in Bangkok for a couple of years. Now, it's great if this person has all sorts of intercultural competencies, but it may be that, we would still want to know these competencies, are they sufficient for this expatriate to actually manage the company, manage the local firm, manage the local expats, get business done, etc., negotiate, etc. So by when we focus on effectiveness, we look, okay, so what does this expatriate need to achieve in terms of the job work? What's the business rationale? What are the business objectives, etc.? The relationships with with the people around him or her in the team. So all of these are ways of being effective, measures of effectiveness.
Okay,
yes.
You need first to establish intercultural competence, and then you can look towards
the assumption is that when this person has certain intercultural competencies, this person with the competencies will probably also be effective in achieving the business goals and managing the team, etc. And that someone who is absolutely not competent is very likely not to be effective.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Yes. Okay, Muriel, where's the question from Muriel? Here. Yvonne, do you want to take this? Yvonne?
Yes, in a situation, what do you deploy when you think you have tried everything and you don't reach your objectives? That's Muriel's question. But earlier on, she also asked, what's the aim of the course? And she's having her baby girl in my arms, so I rather not use the microphone. So I think Muriel has a couple of questions at the same time. Well, can you defer this one, Ursula?
Yes. Well, the aim of the course was to give an introduction to what we believe is the intercultural effectiveness. That it makes sense to say that we need to connect, perform, and enjoy when it's about effectiveness. And it makes a lot of sense at us as intercultural professionals to to make a distinction between competencies on the one hand, having these competencies, and being effective. And also looked at, okay, so what are the intercultural competencies that we work with, which basically those related by the Intercultural Readiness Check for competencies. That's the aim of the goal. And when you say in a management situation, what do you do when you think you've tried everything and you don't reach your objective? Well, that's a big question because many elements may come in here. One is with an assessment tool like the Intercultural Readiness Check. If you're my client and you were the team manager, and you raise your arms and you say, I've tried everything, I don't reach my objective. It can't be me, I tried everything. Then we could use the assessment tool and we would see where you have all the competencies that you need to have. And perhaps you still also can do something in the area of expertise to improve the situation. So I think that all of us here as intercultural professionals, we're able to help team members and team managers to formulate, to look at the kind of things that they have done already and other things that they have not done yet, which should also be using. Yes.
And there's also from Linda saying it's not always about intercultural competence. So yes, that's also true.
Yes, yes.
There's much more to it, and of course, when you focus on this, and this is the yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Definitely, it's not all about intercultural competence. There are there's more than one competence, and there is also a situation we need to be able to analyze. And one of the things of intercultural competences is that once we speak of competencies, we are always focusing on the individual. But as professionals, we, in addition to doing that, we also need to be able to analyze the team situation and organizational situation, etc. That's beyond of this webinar, but certainly absolutely true. Yes. Okay. I think it's about time to round it off, the checkout.
Yes.
Yvonne?
Well, it's about time. We have only 2 minutes left. And I would like for you to hear, well, what did you take away from this webinar? So please use the chat for that. And let's not describe it all within the sheet. But please use the chat for final words, what you take away. And well, what I can say for myself, I love to be with you, and just the amazing feeling that we're all spread not only throughout Europe but throughout the globe, and having one half hour together to discuss the topics we like. Well, thank you very much for participating. And well, Juanita and Ursula, please add things.
I confirm everything said. I'd like to see what some of the things that the participants come up with.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, very much for coming here. Whether it's a public holiday or not on your part of the world, it's for most of us after working hours, and we've all spent extra time doing this. So thank you very much for your interest. Okay, type your thoughts. Do I need to have the webinar handout or the checkout? Here it is.
Yes, just go to the slides and add the last slide, please.
Yvonne, again.
Okay.
You know better how to move through these parts.
Yes, this is the one I wanted to show. Thank you very much. Merci, gracias, matondo. All those other lovely words we have. Thank you very much. And I love looking in the chat and reading what you're saying. I connected. I learned something. Thank you very much. Interesting, helpful. The third competencies, the importance of intercultural competencies in order to get intercultural effective. The IE, somebody saying, the inspiration. To come over to Peru from Esther Marie, so this is also lovely. reflecting here right away. And what I would also like to say and add, of course, at the beginning we said we recorded this, so tomorrow you'll receive the link to the recordings, you'll receive the PowerPoint presentations, and also the beautiful model we had with all your ingredients for intercultural effectiveness and intercultural effectiveness. So you'll receive that all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your night, and see you later.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. Okay.